You sit down to do important work. You know what to do. You have time. You even want the result. But 5 minutes later, your brain is begging for escape. Check your phone, open another tab. Watch something for a minute. Eat, scroll, anything but the task. And then you tell yourself the usual story, I need more discipline. Maybe, but that's not the real problem. The real problem is that your brain has been trained to prefer rewards that arrive fast over rewards that matter. And dopamine is a big part of that. Now, let's clear up the internet nonsense before we start. Dopamine is not the pleasure chemical. It's not evil. It's not the reason your life is ruined. Dopamine is part of the system that helps your brain learn what to pursue, what to repeat, and what feels worth your effort. That's exactly why it matters. Because if your reward system gets trained on constant novelty and instant payoff, then deep work starts to feel broken. Not because you're lazy, because your brain has learned the wrong reward timing. In this video, I'll break down the 5 ways dopamine sabotages your focus in modern life, and how to retrain your brain so hard work stops feeling impossible. Chapter 1. Your brain is comparing deep work to instant rewards, and deep work loses at first. This is the part most people don't understand. Your brain doesn't evaluate tasks in isolation, it compares them. Writing a report isn't just writing a report. It's writing a report versus checking messages, studying versus scrolling, building a skill versus watching someone else talk about it, delayed payoff versus immediate stimulation. And in that comparison, deep work usually loses in the first few minutes. Why? Because deep work is expensive up front. It demands effort before reward, attention before payoff, patience before progress. Instant stimulation is the opposite. Fast novelty, fast feedback, fast reward. So when you try to focus, your brain isn't only dealing with the task. It's dealing with a reward contrast problem. You've trained your system to expect a high rate of stimulation. Then you suddenly give it one difficult task with delayed results. Of course, it resists. This is why hard work can feel weirdly painful before it becomes satisfying. It's not always the task itself. It's the drop in stimulation. Your brain is basically saying, wait, this is slow. Where's the payoff? That feeling is what makes people quit too early. They think the discomfort means, this task is wrong. This isn't for me. I can't focus today. No. A lot of the time it means my reward system is still adjusting. That's a very different problem, and it's fixable. Watch Chapter 2. Constant novelty trains your attention to reject repetition. Focus depends on your ability to stay with the same thing long enough for your brain to build momentum. But modern stimulation trains the opposite. Swipe, new video, scroll, new post, tap, new message, refresh, new input. Your brain gets rewarded for switching, not staying. And the more you live in novelty loops, the harder repetition feels. That matters because almost everything valuable requires repetition. Studying, writing, coding, practicing, training, editing, thinking. None of that feels exciting every minute. A lot of it is repetitive by design. That's how mastery works. But if your brain is used to novelty every 5 to 20 seconds, repetition starts to feel like deprivation. So you sit down to do real work and suddenly your brain wants a different tab, a different song, a snack, a quick search, a small break, some tiny change. Not because you need it, because your attention has been conditioned to expect variation. This is why people say, I get bored so fast now. It's not just boredom, it's novelty dependence. And novelty dependence destroys depth, because depth is built by staying after the novelty is gone. Anyone can focus when something is new. Skilled people can focus when it's no longer exciting. That's the real advantage. Chapter 3. Easy dopamine makes effort feel emotionally expensive. Here's a pattern almost everyone knows, but few people understand. After a lot of short-form content, random scrolling, constant checking, or stimulation-heavy downtime, important work feels heavier. Not impossible. Heavier. Why? Because your brain adapts. When easy rewards are frequent, your baseline expectation changes. Normal effort can start to feel understimulating. Slow progress can feel emotionally flat. Tasks that require patience feel harder than they actually are. So what happens? You misread the feeling. You think, I'm tired. I'm not motivated. This task is too much. I'll do it later. Sometimes you are tired, but often what you're feeling is a reward mismatch. Your brain is not exhausted. It's under-rewarded relative to what it got used to. That distinction matters. Because if you mistake reward mismatch for true inability, you'll keep waiting for motivation to return. And motivation won't return consistently because the environment is still training your brain in the opposite direction. This is also why discipline feels harder in high-stimulation environments. You're not just fighting the task. You're fighting a reward system that is learned. Fast equals good, slow equals bad. Effort first equals avoid. That's not a moral failure. That's conditioning. And conditioning can be reversed. But first, you have to stop treating every urge as a valid command. Chapter 4. Dopamine hijacks your behavior through anticipation and not just reward. Most people think the problem is the reward itself. The phone, the app, the snack, the video sometimes. But a huge part of the trap is anticipation. The urge, the maybe, the I'll just check for a second. That moment is powerful because your brain is already predicting a possible reward. And prediction changes behavior before you even get the reward. That's why a notification sound can break focus before you open anything. That's why seeing your phone on the desk can create mental pull. That's why just one quick check can hijack a work session. Your attention gets captured by reward expectation, not because you're weak, because your brain is designed to orient toward possible reward. This is useful in nature. It's a disaster when reward opportunities are endless. So if you're trying to fix focus while keeping every cue in your environment active, you're making the game much harder than it needs to be. You're basically asking your brain, please ignore dozens of reward invitations while doing one effortful task. That's a bad strategy. High performers don't just use willpower. They reduce reward cues. Out of sight, out of reach, out of the room. Blocked, silenced, removed. Why? Because fewer cues means fewer anticipation spikes. Fewer anticipation spikes means less internal negotiation. Less negotiation means more usable attention. This is not about becoming a monk. It's about stopping your environment from bidding for your brain every 30 seconds. Chapter 5. You keep reinforcing the wrong loop after hard work starts. This is the sneaky one. Let's say you do manage to start. You sit down. You feel resistance. You work for 3 minutes. Then discomfort rises. What do most people do? They escape. Quick check. Quick scroll. Quick reward. That one move trains the exact behavior you're trying to remove. Your brain learns. Whenever effort feels uncomfortable, switch tasks and get dopamine. Congratulations, you just built a stronger procrastination loop. This is why focus gets worse even when people try every day. They keep rehearsing the escape sequence. Start task, feel friction. Escape, feel relief. Relief is powerful reinforcement. So your brain remembers the exit, not the work. If you want focus to improve, you have to retrain the loop. Start task arrow, feel friction, arrow stay arrow, stabilize arrow, progress arrow, reward. That sequence changes everything. Notice what's different. You're not waiting for discomfort to disappear before continuing. You continue through discomfort long enough for a slower reward to arrive. And it does arrive. Clarity, momentum, progress, satisfaction, completion. But most people never experience that consistently because they leave too early. They quit in the withdrawal phase. And yes, for many people, that early discomfort really does feel like withdrawal from stimulation. Not clinical addiction language. Behavioral conditioning. Your brain expects hits. You give it effort. It protests. If you can survive that protest without feeding it a fast reward, your focus begins to rebuild. That's the turning point. So how do you fix this in real life without becoming extreme? Here's the practical reset. First, stop flooding your brain before deep work. Don't start your day with 45 minutes of scrolling and then expect elite focus. Second, create dopamine boundaries, not total deprivation. Specific times for checking. Specific times for content. Not constant access all day. Third, remove reward cues during focus blocks. Phone out of reach. Notifications off, unnecessary tabs closed. Anything tempting gets friction. Fourth, shrink the starting target. Your brain resists huge, vague effort. Start with one concrete block. 10 minutes, 1 page, 1 outline, 1 problem, 1 paragraph. Fifth, delay the escape. When the urge hits, don't instantly obey it. Wait 2 minutes, keep working. Train the brain that urges are signals, not commands. Sixth, reward completion, not avoidance. Celebrate finishing the block, not taking a break 90 seconds after starting. This is how you retrain your reward system. Not through guilt, through repeated loops. So let's recap before your brain tries to negotiate a quick check. Dopamine sabotages your focus in 5 predictable ways. 1. Your brain compares deep work to instant rewards, and deep work loses early. 2. Constant novelty trains attention to reject repetition. 3. Easy dopamine makes normal effort feel emotionally expensive. 4. Anticipation and reward cues hijack attention before you even switch tasks. 5. Escaping during a friction reinforces procrastination loops. This is actually good news, because it means your focus problem is not just a personality trait. It's a training problem, and training problems can be fixed. You don't need a perfect dopamine detox. You need a better reward system. Train your brain to stay long enough for slower rewards to feel good again. That's when discipline gets easier. That's when focus stops feeling forced. That's when hard work becomes something your brain can actually tolerate and eventually prefer. But here's the thing, though. Even with better focus and dopamine control, most people still waste months because they use the wrong study method. They work hard and remember almost nothing. That's why the next video is where this whole system becomes practical. Why most students study the wrong way. Watch that next.